Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. So it's that exciting time of year again.
What exciting time of year.
First of all, we'll remember that there's NBA playoffs are starting.
Who the fuck cares about NBA playoffs?
More importantly,
not me.
Stanley Cup playoffs have begun.
Yeah, I care an awful lot about those, especially this
weekend.
Year.
So far, the home teams are 6-0. Let's hope that changes tonight.
Yeah, because the Golden Knights are not the home team.
Correct.
It looks like it's changing, though, because I was looking at the scores.
Oh, so there's some visiting teams that are doing well?
Yeah, the Hurricanes are losing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Out. Who are they playing?
The Islanders.
That's what I thought.
There's one period left, and it's 3-1.
This their first game?
No, it's game 2.
Who won first game?
Carolina. You just said the home teams won the first 6 games.
Oh, that's right. But it's an exciting time of year. It's like a tough championship to win. They beat the crap out of each other continuously.
Yeah.
And just goes and it goes. It feels like it's forever.
And this year, our teams are not going to eliminate one or the other in the first round, which is interesting.
Yeah, we don't face each other in the first round.
No.
You guys are at home.
Yeah. Winnipeg has home ice advantage.
Against Colorado.
Yep.
And we are away in Dallas against Dallas. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. And I'm gonna go on record right here now predicting that I don't think the Knights are gonna make it out of this round unless they come out and play dominant hockey like I've seen them play for 3 periods.
Maybe they saved it for the playoffs. You never know, because they had a terrible season.
If they do that for 3 periods, because I've seen them play some dominant hockey periods. If they do that for all 3 periods, they'll win the games.
And if Vegas beats Dallas and Winnipeg beats Colorado, we'll meet in round 2.
Face each other in round 2. Yep. And that's, at some point we're going to have to face each other if one or the other of us is going to make it to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, round 2 is the only.
Yeah, the way the thing works out, yes.
Yeah.
But it's starting to get crazy around here in the city with people putting up signs and stuff that you hear on like the news and whatnot is talking about the Golden Knights this and the Golden Knights that. They're getting really excited.
What I think is cool is teams like the Nighthawks, which is arena football?
Yes.
Have moved the game time
to earlier because they had a game scheduled that day.
Yeah.
At the same time as the Knights playoff game. So now they moved it up earlier, which that's good. The amount of time they moved it up leads me to believe that these are very short games.
Yeah. Put it this way, when it added itself to my calendar, like the ticket from Access, put itself in my calendar as a 90-minute game.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's a 90-minute max thing. But that's going to be interesting because we're going to now go to both that and the Stanley Cup game on Saturday.
The same day.
That's going to be crazy, and we're going to be tired of sports after that.
Probably.
But it's been weird around here. Like the very first year when we moved here, we came here several times during the month of April to look for neighborhoods where we would want to live and that kind of thing. And then the weather was really mellow. Like it was like 65, 70 degrees. And then we came here and we lived, and then same thing. Around this time of year, the weather was really mellow, around 65 degrees.
And
comes this year, 100 degrees today.
Did it actually hit 100?
Yes.
I didn't see it all over the news. I'm disappointed.
Yesterday, like 91 yesterday.
Yeah, it's supposed to go back to being cool next week, though.
And then it goes back to being cool. It's the weirdest schizophrenic weather ever, but it's definitely not keeping with the pattern that we saw the first 2 times through.
No, and I don't know if this year is weird or if those years were weird.
It's too soon to tell.
Because if you remember last year, It didn't go above 100 degrees last year until July.
Yeah. They were, if you remember though, they were saying how strange that was.
Yes. I do remember. And I was very grateful that it didn't just go above 100 for the first time. It went above 110. Like, it went from 90s to 110. And we were in Canada.
Yeah. It happened while we were leaving to go there. But of course, when we came back, it was hot as hell. And it stayed hot as hell for quite a while.
Yeah.
It was a hot summer last year. And I have a feeling it's going to be a hot one this year too. But that's okay. We've figured out how to navigate that. The weather aspect.
Oh, we just don't go outside when it's hot.
It's just interesting to me that here we are in the desert and the biggest sports franchise in the area is the Golden Knights, the ice hockey team.
It's hilarious.
And then the other desert team, the Phoenix Coyotes, they're moving to Salt Lake City.
And Utah is pumped.
That would only be their second professional sports team, because they have the Utah Jazz, the basketball team.
Oh, they do have basketball?
They don't have a football team. They don't have a baseball team. They don't have a hockey team.
They're salty that they didn't get the A's.
Yeah. Now they have a hockey team. So, looks like they're trying to expand like everybody else and get into the sports business. Seems like that local government's really pander to and really, really want to do is this bring sports teams in.
The Mormons are going to get into sports betting.
Oh, God forbid the Mormons get into sports betting. That would be just horrendous.
Only if the actual Mormons do the betting. If they just lure people to bet, it's not so horrendous.
Yeah. Oh, you mean they'll use it to raise money for the church?
Yeah.
Like bingo. That's what they do with bingo.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, that's something I haven't noticed here. Do the churches here do bingo, or is it just all beat out by the casinos that do it?
I highly doubt that it's even worth their time to do bingo.
That's what I thought. It's because the casinos beat them out when they do the bingo.
Yeah.
Or the place we still haven't gone to, the boozy bingo. I'm annoyed.
I just want to go play bingo. Take me to bingo. Boozy bingo, non-boozy bingo. To be fair, we could make any bingo boozy bingo, and the cannery would be our best bet because it's so darn close.
Yeah, it'd be cheap to get there and back. That's for sure.
$6 each way.
I think it's minimum 10.
Is it? That's rude.
I don't know. I think so. Here's something that I wanted to mention. Of late, we have had strange incidents with people on foot, like pedestrians. Like,
where? Why? What?
Like, we had the weird lady at the park. Lady claims that Bree jumped on her baby. It's a little baby, like 2 years old. In a stroller, by the way, strapped in.
Didn't happen, man.
Could not have happened. Had it have happened, you'd have heard that lady yelling and screaming.
Right.
So there was that encounter, and that didn't end nicely. Then, like today, we're coming back into the neighborhood, and this little boy is coming on a bicycle straight at us.
And he was like 8.
Straight at us. And then mean bugs me as I go by because I dare drive on the correct side of the road, and he had to move.
And he was driving down the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And he was like, he did that hand gesture like, what? What are you going to do about it? What?
Yeah.
8.
Yeah. And this is why the future is so bright.
Yes.
It's just so dang scary because this is what people are raising. These are the kids that people are raising. When I read how many guns are confiscated at schools here, it scares me. I'm so glad my kids didn't go to school here.
Right?
Just the worst. Just the worst. And
I agree with you.
I'm sorry. I know people get mad online when I say this, but it's the parents. It's the parents.
They're terrible here. They don't pay any attention to their children.
That's the problem, is that they're working these weird ass hours in the hospitality industry, working at a casino here, there, or everywhere.
Right.
And they're not around to keep an eye on their kid. And then the older kids, become the babysitter for the younger kids. Because, of course, God forbid they stop having kids because they can't ever be at home. So the older kid acts as babysitter for the younger kid. And so what do you think happens? They simply pass on the same BS behavior to the next generation. And that's why we're just doomed.
Totally.
We're just doomed. There's never going to be a good thing.
Unless people start actually raising their children not to be a-holes, totally doomed.
Yeah, it's just is. And that's like the person that made the comment about Brie with the baby. Why lie?
I think my favorite part was, okay, she was clearly a little scared that this moose horse of a dog ran past her. Whatever. It is what it is. But why lie? And then why confront me? And then when I didn't have anything that you wanted me to say, confront you, and then go to walk away, and then get annoyed again and come back and have more things to yell at me.
Yeah.
For once, though, I had a sassy comeback.
And we both stayed very calm.
Yeah.
Which doesn't usually happen. One of us usually gets mega pissed. But
maybe it's because we were separated and couldn't egg each other on.
I think it's just because I think we're learning that these people aren't worth our time.
And that getting mad would just escalate into
something. Just whatever. Just walk away. And then if and when it were to ever come up, you'd be like, walked away. Came back twice.
Right.
Went to her, then went to me, then walked away.
Like she was harassing us.
Then came back again. We just were like, whatever. And like when she told me she was going to complain, I said, you go right ahead. And I walked away. I didn't get upset about it. And people say that shit to get you to get riled up. I'm gonna report you to those blah blah blah. And then you're supposed to get all upset because they're threatening to report you. Report me. I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
See, and that's how
I didn't do nothing to you.
That's how police officers, when they meet a rando, that's how they damn skippy know that person's lying.
Yeah.
Because they've seen the correct so-called behavior compared to the lying behavior. It's just interesting. And in that situation, if we were the ones in the wrong, we wouldn't want her to complain to anybody.
But at this point, I don't really
care. We don't even care because she complains and we can just respond to whatever the complaint is.
And we'll do what we do.
I just think.
You know what's funny? Speaking of police, the fact that you were watching that 90s episode of Cops and Joe Lombardo was a police sergeant.
Sergeant Joe Lombardo. Patrol officer.
Yeah.
He's the governor of the state now.
Yeah.
That guy was on Cops.
Yeah. Glorious. He sure moved up quick, though, because I think that episode is probably from the late 90s, by just judging by the vehicles driving on the road.
Well, there's no moving up. The sheriff's an elected position.
But it's still an upgrade. I understand he got elected, but he still moved up.
I get your point.
Yeah.
But it's not like he was promoted to sheriff.
He was promoted by the public of Las Vegas, and then he was promoted by the public of the state to governor.
Who changes what words mean so that you can win an argument? Because that'd be really bad. I wouldn't like that at all.
It's how it's going to be today.
Well.
And I won the argument.
You didn't, though, because you made up a definition of a word that isn't even the definition of the word.
It sure is.
So you don't win. You can't win when you can't actually.
Either way, he moved up. So stop shitting on what I said the first time, because I was right.
He just took a completely different role.
Okay, whatever.
I wonder how police officers who bust their butt every day feel about someone getting elected to be their, quote, boss. And I wonder why. I wonder what's the logic in having it be an elected position. Could it be so that there's more control public has? Because you could recall any elected official. So maybe it's to have more control over in case there was corruption or something.
I wonder if the public has ever elected somebody to be the sheriff who has absolutely no law enforcement experience.
I would imagine that there would have to be minimum requirements. Like, for instance, places that, like Huntington Beach, when they elect the city attorney, the person has to have a law license and be licensed to practice law in California. Can't just have Joe Blow off the street become the city attorney because he won the most votes.
What the heck do you think the qualification would be to be the sheriff?
You would probably have to have some kind of law enforcement experience. I can't imagine that they would just let some hack go be the sheriff over an entire county's police force without having them have any experience in law enforcement. How do they even understand what the rules and regulations are if they've never done it?
Seems reasonable.
It's like trying to, I don't know, I've learned to play the guitar, so now let me go play the keyboard right away. It's just not going to happen. Doesn't translate.
Right.
Doesn't translate. I can't imagine that they would just let some stranger off the street,
some Joe
become
Blow
the president
from Kokomo,
become the president of all of the police, the pope of the police, the sheriff,
the police pope,
police pope, presidential police pope,
the pope of all police,
pope, president of the police,
pope of all police.
I don't know. It has to be because of the corruption angle, because then you could get rid of them. Plus, they would, even if you couldn't recall them, their term would come up. They'd have to be elected again, and you just wouldn't elect them. So that has to be what it is. That makes sense, because there's positions like you can be a captain over an entire area that's just promoted. You come up through the ranks and become captain.
Yeah. When he was on Cops, he was the area commander.
Yeah.
So that's more than just a normal sergeant, I presume.
Yeah. That, you know what's interesting about all that? When you consider that the way these police officers have to handle business.
Yeah.
Even though they all have jurisdictional requirements, they all work with each other.
Of course.
It isn't like North Las Vegas is going to say, oh, your guy got away into North Las Vegas. Sorry, guys, he's not our problem. Of course not. They're going to go after him.
Of course.
And it's interesting because that's one thing that changed over the years, is police forces being more cooperative with one another. I think it was when they became interconnected with computers that they started to see the benefit of.
Well, and cities grew so much that they were all touching each other.
Yeah.
And they probably got tired of criminals going, no, I'm not in North Las Vegas anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've all seen the movie where the guy runs for the county line
and
gets to the other side and is like, oh, you can't arrest me now, sheriff.
Right. It's not a thing anymore.
Nah.
As was evidenced by police chases in California.
Well, and there's always the highway patrol. They're the state police.
Right.
So they cover the entire state. So you always have them to fall back on. You can just be like, yo, brother, pink VW bug. Go get him.
Get him. Exactly.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention was we got our quarter season tickets for Las Vegas Aviators. And we went to a game.
Las Vegas Aviators.
We went to a game on this past Friday. It's a busy weekend for us. We went to a game last Friday, and we go on a main highway, which would be the one that would take you to California. We go to the main highway. I think it's the 15. And then
I forgot about this.
And then we go, Alamanessis to the right, towards Summerlin, onto the 95. Eventually, we get on the Summerlin Parkway, etc. Okay. As we go, this is an exit where to the left gets onto the 95, and to the right exits to Martin Luther King. This person, and then there's like a triangle with like plastic bumper.
A crash bumper.
And this car hit the bumper, bounced out into traffic, and was literally across the two lanes.
Completely blocking one lane of the 95 freeway and almost blocking the whole lane on the
entrance from the 15.
Yeah.
And nobody in the car.
Yeah.
They bailed. You know why? They were drunk or high.
Or the car was stolen.
Or the car was stolen. Or all of the above. Exactly.
I'm gonna put my money on all of the above.
Yeah, it seems the most likely.
Yeah.
Warrants out for their arrest. They stole the car. I don't know about you, but if I was like in trouble for something that I did, I'd be keeping a low key on the criminal stuff after that.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, if you stole a car and crashed it, you'd probably run too.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the car thief trying
Especially
to get away.
since he was in an easy spot where he could get quite an escape, because if he just ran like down onto MLK, he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So many directions he could go from there.
Yeah.
But It was just interesting. There's this car and it's just sitting there. Then you call 911 and then 911 switched us to Highway Patrol 911. And Highway Patrol 911 took down the
Just
info.
didn't care.
And they were just really bland about it. And okay. And I'm like, there's a car blocking a lane of traffic. Yeah. People going 80 miles an hour.
And then there was
hurtling
another
towards this
accident
guy.
there an hour before we were coming back from the baseball game.
Yeah, that spot apparently is not a nice spot.
That accident never showed up on Pulse Point.
It's weird. I was hoping it would because I wanted to find out what had happened. Like,
Pulse Point didn't give you very much information.
Did they say anything? Or I was hoping even the news to say, oh, found a car. That's a pretty big deal. Blocking a major artery.
Yeah. They don't.
And come on, they report on Billy Bob farted and it offended Wilhelmina. So Wilhelmina shot Billy Bob. They tell you that. Why wouldn't they tell you this? Doesn't make any sense.
Because somebody getting shot maybe is a little bit bigger crime than a car sitting in some lanes on the...
All right, so I could take out the part about them getting shot. They'll still report on it here. They could just report on the guy farting. That's what they do here. They report on everything. Everything. There was a homeless guy taking a dump.
That report about how that place that's in the hood had good tacos?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. They report on literally anything here because they're bored and they don't have much to report on.
Great. Now I want tacos.
Good. So do I.
Good night, everyone.
Stella, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.